Room 614. It was supposed to be just another recovery room, but 17 people never left it alive. She called it peace. We called it murder. In the heart of the Midwest stood a hospital praised for compassion, Lakefield General, a place of healing, a place where trust was sacred. But over 2 years, 17 patients died quietly, silently, all under one nurse. Some were old, some were terminal, and some were just tired, but none of them had a choice. She worked the night shift. She never set off alarms, she never missed a chart, and she never got caught until someone noticed. After the first death, no one blinked. It was a hospital. People died here, especially in room 614. Ethel Lane was 79, recovering from a minor stroke. Her family expected her home by the weekend. But on the third night, under the glow of fluorescent lights and the silence of the graveyard shift, she never woke up. Christine Madsen was the last to see her alive. She charted the death as peaceful and moved to the next room. It was quiet, it was clean, and it would happen again. Ethel's family came the next morning with flowers. They were told it was quick, painless, natural. No one asked questions, and no one suspected Nurse Christine Madsen. Not yet. She was everything a nurse should be: on time, neat, precise, unshakably calm. But in the days that followed, 2 more patients died, quietly, overnight, under Christine's care, all in room 614. Jasmine Patel, a junior nurse, had trained with Christine once. She remembered every step, every dose, had to be logged digitally. But Christine always charted by hand, and somehow, her patients always coded just after comfort meds. She asked her shift lead just once. The reply was simple: "Stay in your lane, Patel." But she didn't. She started watching. She watched Christine stay late, recheck vitals, administer comfort injections that were never ordered. Patients who were improving stopped. Then came patient 4, Mr. Klausner, pneumonia case, laughing with his son that afternoon, dead before sunrise. That morning, Jasmine walked past room 614. The door was cracked open. Christine was still inside, humming. She started calling it the Mercy Room. She didn't say it out loud, but others had begun to notice. Another one last night? Yeah, 614 again. You know who had the shift. She walked those halls like a ghost. Not evil, not angry, just indifferent. 17 patients would die in that room, but Ethel Lane was the first whisper. By the time patient number 6 passed, Jasmine had started keeping notes of her own. She wasn't trained for this, but she wrote down everything: times, faces, shifts. Christine's name appeared again and again. Mark Rivera, Lakefield's risk officer, was the first administrator to notice it wasn't just bad luck. He cross-referenced every death from January to March. 8 patients, all DNR, all overnight, all logged manually. Hours later, patient number 9 was gone. Jasmine confronted her manager a second time. This time, she brought a copy of Christine's shift logs. The response? Later that night, she opened her locker. Inside was a crumpled sheet, the same notes she'd hidden, torn, folded, and tagged with a sticky note. That's when she knew. This wasn't just silence. This was protection. Jasmine couldn't go back to being quiet, but speaking out, that had failed. So she tried something else. She made copies, Not for the hospital, but for someone who couldn't ignore her. Clara Hughes had exposed dirty police units, pharmaceutical fraud. But this was different. In her hands was a spreadsheet, 17 names, times, drug codes, outcomes. They called it the Mercy Protocol. I thought it was hospital slang, but it was something much worse. Clara called it a kill list. The column headers were cold: room, medication, shift nurse, time of death. Every pattern matched, every dose aligned, and one name appeared in every row: Christine Madsen. Christine knew someone was watching. She began logging less, carrying her own supplies, smiling more. She wasn't panicked, she was patient. Jasmine started sleeping with her phone on record, just in case, because now someone had tampered with her brake lines. And then Clara called the police, because now this wasn't just quiet death, it was premeditated. Clara published the article at 6:12 a.m. By 9 it had 30,000 shares. By noon the story was on the evening news. Lakefield General responded with a statement, "We take all concerns seriously." But the police took it more seriously. He saw what Clara and Jasmine already knew. This wasn't mercy, it was murder. Video logs had been deleted, but a backup server, forgotten in a side closet, still ran weekly syncs. They recovered 2 weeks of security footage, and there she was. 3 vials, no gloves, no entry logged. 15 minutes later, a flatline. The autopsy, long denied, confirmed high levels of morphine and lorazepam. Jasmine was brought in. They asked for her notes. She brought a box. The hospital suspended Christine that night, but police didn't wait. She didn't resist. She offered tea. She asked if they wanted to see her garden. She was charged with 11 counts of second-degree murder and 6 of manslaughter. But none of the families had seen her face until the mugshot. The nurse who had whispered mercy into dying ears now stood accused of silencing them forever. The trial began in March. The courtroom was packed. Reporters, nurses, families, 17 names, 17 seats left empty. Christine was charged with 17 deaths. The prosecution called it a systematic abuse of trust. The defense called it compassion. The families called it murder. Christine sat still, unblinking, unapologetic. When asked if she felt regret, she responded in just 3 words: "I sleep fine." The courtroom froze. The verdict was unanimous: guilty on all counts, sentenced to life without parole. But the trial didn't end in that room. It bled into every hallway at Lakefield General. Mark Rivera resigned 2 weeks later. The board issued a public apology, and nurses, the ones who whispered warnings, were brought back to testify in federal hearings. Christine didn't break the system. She revealed what it was willing to ignore. A memorial wall was built at the end of Wing B, 17 brass plaques, 1 empty frame left hanging for the family who asked not to be named. Room 614 was sealed, locked, the lights turned off, permanently. 3 years later, the pain hasn't faded. Not for the families, not for the nurses, not for the hospital that tried to forget. Some transferred, some left nursing altogether. Jasmine stayed. She trains new staff now, and she always says one thing: trust your gut, even when no one else does. Christine Madsen is now inmate number 1180491 at the State Correctional Facility for Women. She spends her time cataloging books in the library. She hasn't spoken to reporters, not once. But her letters, written to no one, are full of calm justification. For every case like hers, there are others still buried, nurses forced to stay silent, hospitals protecting reputations over lives. And while the Mercy Protocol was never official, its pattern was found in 3 other states. The files have different names. The outcomes are always the same. In the end, Christine wasn't a monster, not in the way monsters are drawn. She was neat, she was polite, she was trusted. And for 17 people, trust was the last mistake they ever made. Room 614 is gone, but the silence it left behind still lingers.